you know what we're here for, the Alamo County Regional Mobility Authority meeting, my very first one. So let's kick it off with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Give the invitation, please.
Dear Lord, for your goodness and love be present among us, we ask for your blessing on this meeting. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. You'll step forward and we can go to the office. See, I guess I'll go with you. This district textile engineer will bring you the oath of office. That's a special occasion. Glad you could be there.
Raise your right hand. I state your name, please.
I, Robert Allison,
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Hidalgo County Regional Mobility Authority of the state of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States of this state. So help me God.
I do. So help me God. I'm sworn in. I'm not sure that I could say all those.
Yeah.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. A picture, but I'm gonna get here bilateral. Yes, sir. Just one quick little picture. Yes, sir. There we go. Like. Thank you.
Congratulations once again.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right, very good. So now I'm official.
Well, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. So, I guess we'll call our workshop to order. It's the next order of business.
Yes, sir. Chairman, directors, item 1 is review of the proposed fiscal year 2025 operating and capital budget. The workshop item number 1. As you recall, our fiscal year is from January 1st to December 31st. So in your packet is the draft budget for the authority for the next fiscal year. This we'd like to review with you, and then it'll be on the regular agenda in December for adoption to go into effect January 1st, 2025. I'll just give you a quick year on the overview of this year's budget. And the budget begins with an estimated working capital, debt service funds, and construction project balances of $150 million. Total resources are expected to add to almost 68.9 million. Of that amount, $7.5 million expected to be received through vehicle registration fees, $2 million in permit fees, and $56 million in federal grants, and which is the tech stock reimbursement grant for the 365 tollway, and $3.4 million from estimated interest earnings. The total appropriations amount to $129.8 million. 3.9 million of it is dedicated to operations, 8.7 million to debt service, and 160 million to capital construction of the 365 toll project, and 1 million for environmental clearance of Section A and Section E. At this level of activity, we anticipate that the ending working capital for debt service, working capital, debt service funds, capital construction, and capital improvement is approximately 98.1 million. So we took a conservative approach regarding the vehicle registration revenues, and we budgeted $7.5 million, which is the same as last year. And then we budgeted permit fees again at $2 million. On the operating side, the budget is $3.9 million. This represents an increase of 300,000 or 8.2% compared to last year. The increase is primarily the inclusion of 300,000 for public outreach, which is 50,000, and 250,000 for marketing for the 365 tollway project. We're about 12 months away from opening the 365 tollway project and to start our marketing efforts to advertise the toll road.
So we left.
Yes, sir.
Is that the first time of that expenditure?
Yes, sir. It's the first time we budget that expenditure. So we have 50,000 for public outreach. And we have 250,000 for marketing. So a total of 300,000.
You had mentioned the last time we visited that you had a marketing organization that's gonna come in marketing group. So
Yes, sir. So we've interviewed two firms, or we've met with two firms. We've gotten a proposal back to one firm, and we're still waiting for the second firm for the marketing side of things.
But are they gonna present a plan, or did we give them kind of the framework of what we expected the marketing process to do?
So they're going to present the plan. We kind of gave them the parameters, you know, what we needed, the kind of scope, what we needed done, and they're going to actually develop the market.
Will we be able to review that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You sure will. Yeah, so all of that will come to the board. The reason I asked for proposals was to develop a budget, because we have no experience with estimating the cost. So we contacted two firms to try to get a handle on cost and budget. But we'll be, wherever we select, should be coming to the board for consideration.
Can you just share with us what your main point is in the market?
The main point of the marketing scheme is to get the toll tags out. People start buying toll tags so that they can use our toll road. And then the fact that we're going to open a toll road and what the benefits are of using the toll road time, you know, the time savings and the origin and destination that this toll road will establish for you. The questions?
you know, and I'm, like I said, I'm really full of questions that I'll make an effort not to slow it down too much, but on this in particular, you know how over there they have a couple of different ways of doing it. In Cameron, I think you can go through the Fuego system, or you can also have what the regular, what's the other one called? Yeah. What's happening here?
So we're required to be interoperable with all toll systems in the state of Texas. So Fuego, TexTag, Easy Pass, any of the toll tags in Texas, Oklahoma, I believe Georgia and Florida will work in Texas. They're interoperable. So regardless of what toll tag we adopt, it'll work here and it'll work on the 130, for example, or it'll work in Houston on the Harris County toll system. They're all required to be interoperable. Capital outlay and non-capital outlay, the amount budgeted this year is 31,000, which consists of 20,000 for administration, 8,000 for construction management, and 3,000 for project management. That's just computers, minor equipment, tools, things that we need to run the day-to-day operation. This represents a net increase of 1 million compared to last year. The 1 million is basically so we can start environmental clearance on section A and section C, if that's what the board adopts when they adopt the strategic plan in December. That's what we're recommending to the board at this point, and then again, that'll be the board's consideration at the December meeting. So, answer any other questions that you may have related to the budget.
One more thing, the estimated operating budget is 3.9.
Yes, sir.
I think it was either a couple of meetings ago that you were saying, or somebody else also suggested or made a comment that our RMA basically operates on a skinny, is the term used. Will you be in a position to be able to tell us why you're operating a skinny, and if there's any deficiencies or reasons why we're doing it that way versus a better staffed operations, and what that would mean if in fact you have better management or more?
Well, so we've always operated a lean operation as far as in-house staff. Because we relied a lot on the consultants. Seen over the years, director, we have a lot of consultants working for us. So we've done a lot of the management of consultants. Where we're going to have to transition over probably in the near future is taking some of those tasks on in-house as we start operating we get in the toll business, we're gonna have to wrap up some staff to manage the tolls. What we're finding out also is that the overweight permit system requires a lot of manpower, which we have. We get 50% of every permit that's issued, so that should cover that cost. And so, yeah, we're gonna need a little bit more staff. We're gonna need some assistance in compliance. That's more, because we've got $155 million grant. We've got the over 200 million in bonds that we've issued. And a lot of those have post issuance compliance that we've got to maintain, and so we'll have to.
Those staff personnel that you just discussed, are they already inclusive in the 3.9?
We've added the one position, we've added a compliance officer as part of the post budget on the administrative side. But in future years, we're gonna have to add more staff. But as we add more of those staff, also understand that on the construction side, we're gonna ramp down with the staff we have. We're not gonna need 6 inspectors that we have anymore. We're not gonna need all the records keepers that we have on staff anymore, because as construction ramps down, we'll have to reduce that staff if there's gonna be no work for them. So at the end of the day, filling it out.
Thank you. I have a question about.
Yes, sir.
So I see that there's from the estimated 2024 budget to the 2025 budget. There's. If personnel services 1.6 million to 2.8. And our budget in 2024 was 2.9. Why such the difference between the budget of what we're estimating to spend?
Are you looking at?
I'm looking at. General fund budget.
Something.
So down page.
Yeah, the page.
So you're looking at, then we have 2.9 million budget in the current year, right?
Yes,
Then we're estimating 1.6.
yes.
Okay, well, that was because if you recall, we let a lot of us, inspection staff go.
Okay.
So we didn't have those inspection, expenditures. And then we're basically budgeting the same amount. Next fiscal year. But we didn't have that expenditure this year. It's not gonna materialize because we had to let about half of the inspection staff.
And so even the outsourcing of inspectors still falls under this category?
No, sir, it's in the capital, it's built into the project expense.
Okay.
Now, this is just for in-house staff. Just that line.
But we're still budgeting the same, even though those inspectors are outsourced, and we're saying we're only gonna hire 1 compliance officer?
So the plan, Ramon is, so the struggle has been to get in-house inspectors hired, and so Ramon's been diligently interviewing people. It's been,
But that's still
that's still the plan,
under.
still the plan. The contract inspectors are a lot more expensive, and we're trying to wean ourselves off of that, and Ramon's still making efforts. We still have a year of construction, so that's why we budgeted. Hopefully we can get back to the 6 in-house inspectors to finish up the project, save a little money.
Thank you.
Good questions? Okay, so then the next item is the review of the 2024 strategic plan update for the downtown regional mobility area. Ruben Alfaro is going to go over that with the plan update. Under chapter 70 of the transportation code, which is the code that created the authority, we're required to have a strategic plan. We're required to update it every 2 years, every year. So 2024 is the year that we need to update, and it's required by statute. So we need to revise it, and this will be on the agenda in December for adoption.
That's why I just feel while you're still there and kind of give in, and I thank you for that, but I think it's probably for my benefit to understand this, but the requirement for us to have a strategic plan. Can you speak to me a little bit about the mechanism or the format, or how is it that we coordinate with the CREXDOT itself or with MPO as we get ready to, approve our own strategic plan? How does that really happen? Can you speak to that?
So our plan, we're required to, I guess we adopted the first strategic plan, I think like back in the early 2000s when the authority was first created. And we had just one item on the plan, which was the Hidalgo County. The plan was all inclusive. about 10, 12 years ago, maybe 14 years ago, the authority decided that it was too big to undertake the project as one project, and so we segmented it into multiple projects, and we took on a couple of other projects. And all through that process, TxDOT has been in the room, because they have oversight on the authority. And then the plan ultimately gets submitted to TxDOT, so that they're aware of where we're heading. We're coordinating. We have a TxDOT representative that's pretty much at every meeting. And then we send them they get a copy of the proposed plan that you're looking at right now. Before we even adopt it.
I guess what I'm looking for or trying to understand is, you know, in the big picture, you know, in the region, you know, how does the planning that we're attempting to do here and the plan that we're attempting to adopt get integrated, or does it, with those other two transportation related organizations, the MPO and TxDOT's own plans?
So it is integrated into the MPO's plan, TxDOT plan, and, you know, the district engineer, Pete Alvarez, is here. And I can tell you, he walks around with a map in his back pocket that has our plan overlaid, or he's got his plan overlaid on ours, or ours overlaid on his, but. And it shows, he's got his plan and our plan integrated into his plan, or vice versa. So it's shown on the statewide plan.
Let's move on.
Well, Chairman, members of the board, I'll present to you the strategic plan for 2025 to 2029. The first slide that you see here is our overall strategic plan. As you can see here, we have all of our projects included here. The biggest things that I want you to look at is in blue are the TxDOT projects. The call out shows in blue, and then in red it shows the RMA projects. So you will see that on the description, and also on that corner you see where it's a short-term or a midterm or a long-term project. Starting with the La Jolla Relief Route, this project has been completed by TxDOT. It was at one point part of the RMA projects, and it has been completed by TxDOT. It's in operation right now. The second project would be SH365 segment 3, which was completed as well by the RMA on 2018. Moving on to segments 1 and 2, which are under construction right now at this point. That's expected to be completed by the end of next year. And then we move on to IBTC, which is shown in pink. IBTC is environmentally cleared by the RMA. It was transferred to TxDOT because TxDOT was able to fund it. It will go to construction in the upcoming years. After that, you see SH68 in white. That's also a TxDOT project that's currently awaiting environmental clearance. And we're expecting, I believe, to get environmental clearance by the end of the year. Moving on to the upcoming projects and the priorities we have as an RMA, you'll see number 1 in yellow. That's our priority number 1, which is segment 4, with a construction cost of 91 million and a total development cost of 141 million. And that's one of our short-term projects. Our second priority at this point would be section A, or segment A as we call it. That expands from Conway Avenue, and we'll have more details in the upcoming slides, all the way to I-2. That's a total development cost of 321 million, and it's a midterm project. Priority 3 is section F. Section F has a total development cost of $129 million, and it's a midterm project as well. And then moving on to the long-term projects would be priority 4 and priority 5, which are section C and section E, as you see on the map. I forgot about I-69 connector. That's also a project that TxDOT's working on, and that's also a long-term project as we see the plans coming up. Moving on to the next slide. Is there any questions on this?
Go ahead, Frank, go ahead. Yes. I know that in the section C, we had some discussion
based on correspondence that was received at Dalton County. And then later, our chairman attended, I think, last week, a follow-up meeting. And I want to ask what has happened, where are we in those conversations in terms of?
So we'd like to meet with the board in executive session. I'll discuss that with our attorneys.
Good.
Ruben, just real quick, a question on the I-69 connector update. On this page here, is there anything, I guess it goes pink to yellow, right? To 365?
Oh,
Yeah, down the bottom of the IBT, yeah,
IBTC?
the left, right there, go to the left, look right there. Is there anything that you see for the IBTC border state that would slow down our process on the 365? Because it looks like it connects, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Interchange.
Working on that, or as we're building our 365, starting to work on.
They're allowing us to sole source that project.
Okay, oh, no, we're doing it ourselves.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good.
My understanding is we're not doing the MTCs, the
Yeah, yes, sir.
So that shouldn't affect us because Texas is going to build the MTC and we are doing the 365.
I appreciate what you just said, but according to that color coding right there, the yellow stops at pink and then the pink goes to the right and then starts yellow again, so.
They're accordingly, they'll constitute one another, complement each other as we go into development.
Since the zoom in, like it's very expanded, you can't see the yellow going through there, but
Okay,
they're connectors to 365.
They're flyovers, ramps,
sounds good.
on ramps.
Thank you.
So moving on to the next one.
You mentioned on the 68. That
Yes, sir.
the environmentals you expect to be complete by end of year.
Correct.
It's who's doing the environment.
That's all. Yeah, and then that's, we coordinate with the advanced project delivery section at Texas, and that's the latest they have provided us. The environmental clearance is gonna happen, hopefully before the end of the year.
Very good.
Moving on to the next slide. So on this slide, it's not shown right now. We're waiting on updating this slide as we adopt the plan. So on December, when we're bringing for adoption, it will have the latest updates for construction. I'll coordinate with Ramon to have the latest. I don't want to put anything right now until December so that we have the latest and greatest when we adopt it and we send it to TechStot. Same here, IBTC updates I-69 connector and SH68. We're being coordinated with TechStot, but once we go closer to adoption, we'll get the latest information from them so that we can populate this year once we adopt the plan. So moving on, this is the segment 4, as we discussed. This is from Asadúas Highway, where right now 365 ends construction and it's going to extend to Conway Avenue. It has a length of 3.47 miles with an estimated cost of 140 million. The proposed letting date will have to be adjusted based on information that we completed today. And I put some pilot schedules as requested by Chairman Delacan that has the task and the environmental things that need to be completed in order for a project to go to construction. We also added the cost breakdown for the project that shows a more detailed budget for these projects. The next step for this would be to perform the environmental refresher. This was environmentally cleared, but since the environmental clearance was obtained a few years ago, we have to go through our refresher and then perform the right-of-way acquisition and the PSA development. So this is our first priority. As you can see here, this is the map. It will begin at Asadúas Highway and it will end a little bit past Conway Avenue. Moving on to the next priority. Our next priority would be Segment A West. The project limits would be from I-2.8 miles of Showers Road all the way to Conway Avenue, where section 4 ends. Way back to beautiful. No. Oh. Yeah, so the length of this project is 7.73 miles. We have an estimated cost of 320 million. The next steps would be to execute the environmental clearance contract
and begin that environmental clearance process. And then define final routes as part of that process as well. And we have the cost breakdown in detail here, that comes up to the 320 million in cost. Moving on.
Ruben, for some reason, it's not showing the challenges. I think it's important for us to see the challenges. At least here it says current route presents several residential.
Oh, that probably has to.
Yeah, so challenge for these projects would be that the current route, as we show it on the map, it has several residential displacements, but during the environmental process, we'll check different routes and see what's best for this project and move on with that.
The other challenge we have, Director, is there's a lot of federally protected land. They probably got federal wildlife refuge. That's also gonna be a big challenge. Impacting that. And that's primarily on the south side of the project. So,
Similar with wetlands.
yes,
The ETT power line.
ETT has a electric transmission. Texas also has a major transmission line that's traversing.
Can't forget about those guys.
So is a short-term schedule appropriate for that project?
And that's gonna be updated, just based on the environmental that we created, the schedule.
Do we have any idea how we're going to fund the preliminary engineering of this?
So we're going to, at this one, we're probably looking at a public-private partnership. We, under the statutes, we're allowed, and Blakey, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're allowed to either solicit public-private partnerships, and we're also allowed to receive unsolicited proposals. There is a developer, a heavy highway developer that's interested in this project and section C in possibly a concessionaire agreement. However, they're not interested in it until it's environmentally clear, because that's really that's the biggest hurdle to get past, environmental clearance. And then they would be interested in looking at it as a public-private partnership between the authority and the residents.
These are not told.
They'd have to be told.
They would have to.
It'd have to be told, yeah. That's why they're interested in it, because it'd be a concessionaire agreement. You're probably looking at least a 50-year agreement, something on that order between that entity and the authorities. But they have expressed interest only if it is environmentally clear.
Can you bring me up to speed on environmental clearance and that process in terms of if some projects are our projects and we take them all the way through, and some are textile projects, how do we discern who's better equipped for the environmental clearance work, or once you do one part, it necessarily goes over completely, or might we do the environmental clearance and then turn it over, or how does that work?
So it really depends on whether we're gonna go toll or non-toll. And
Oh, it's us.
yeah, toll it's us.
Yeah.
Because TxDOT will not build any
Can't
toll
do that.
roads. Yeah, they won't build any toll roads. If it's non-toll, it can go either way. TxDOT can take it from cradle to grave, usually so that there's local participation, which it's easier to line up funding for construction when there's some local effort. So we wondered, like on IBTC, the board decided to go non-toll on it. And we environmentally, we took on the cost of environmentally clearing it. We did some early acquisition, and we did a lot of the relocations on the displacements there. And then TxDOT funded it for construction, which was the majority of the cost. So we spent about $15 million on IBTC, getting it tolled, getting it environmentally cleared, getting it, doing some early acquisition, and doing the majority of the relocations. There is probably about 130 relocates on that project, single family residents, homes, and we got about 107 of them done. So TxDOT still has a couple dozen to do, but we got the bulk of them done. And that was basically the incentive for TxDOT to fund the project as a free road. But it depends on how we approach it. It's more. Okay.
For strategic planning purposes, is it possible on those pages here, if we could, it says challenges and it's different steps, if we could add a step for proposed funding, and maybe proposed revenue? It's gonna be a toll or something. We think that would be very. Yes, sir. Great. Post funding, what's the plan in funding this project?
And we can clarify that. Initially, we assume toll, that's how we approach all of these, they're gonna be toll roads. And then as we develop them, there's an opportunity to go non-toll, which allows TechStop to participate.
Because I'm not sure how we've done in the past, and I look to your guidance and so forth for this, but if we have a program or one of these plans for 0 to 4 years, we may want to start really looking at the integral parts of what needed, because that takes in itself 2 or 3 years.
Yes.
You know, if we save monies and go wherever else we can.
Yes, sir, we'll listen.
Moving on to the next project, that was section F, that extends from the east connector of IBPC, as you can see here, all the way to IH2, around the county line. That's also will be a connection to SH68 that's gonna be developed on the north side of I2. So this project is 12.75 miles with an estimated cost of 528 million. The next steps for this project as well is to execute the environmental clearance contract and begin that process and defining the final route as part of this process. And you'll see the breakdown here of 528 million, what we estimate for every step of the project. And this would be priority number 2. And the challenges, of course, they haven't been defined as of now. Moving on to section E, this project, you can see here is from the connection I2 along the county line, and it extends all the way north to SH68. Sorry, this is the one that connects to 68. As you can see there, that gray line is SH68 that's being developed by TechStop at this time. Going back to the previous slide. This is a 22.53 miles project with an estimated cost of 934 million. The next steps would be again to execute the environmental clearance contract and begin that process and defining the final route as expected. This would be priority number 4. And then the final project would be section C. This extends from I2 near the La Jolla Relief Route on the east side of the La Jolla Relief Route. It goes north and east all the way to I-69, a little bit south of the Edinburgh Airport, but that's still to be defined in collaboration and discussions with TechStop regarding 68, and then as part of the environmental process that has to be defined as well. This is at approximately 29.89 miles with an estimated cost of $1.2 billion. Proposed letting date, again, that has to be redefined. The next steps will be to execute the environmental clearance contract and begin this process and defining the final route as discussed. And this will be priority number 5, or if discussed, we can adjust that priority based on the board's recommendation. Next, this is some information that we discussed at the last meeting. We were able to put in a map the population of the different cities here as of the latest census, and we also obtained the problem is I'm disciplined. That's the problem. So as you can see here, we got the population of each of the cities around the expressway. As you can see there in purple, that's the La Jolla Relief Route. You can barely see it, but in blue, some type of bluish, that would be section C. And then segment A would be the green area. As you can see, the ADT along I2, and this is from 2023 numbers. On this area, it's around 42,000, 46,000, 45,000 on that area of the connection. And then on the next slide, we'll see the connection for section E and section F, where you can see the ADT is much higher. It's 57,000, 60,000, 63,000. And the population, of course, as we know from previous discussions, is pushing to West Laco, Mercedes area. Increasing in subdivisions has, we reduced on the west section connection because of the lack of water availability. So we're seeing this trend of population shifting to these areas, so that's why we're proposing at this time to have this as a priority.
Ruben, excuse me. The acronym, AABP, what is that?
Average annual daily traffic.
So those are the black numbers on the dots. Yes, sir.
Yes, correct. The black numbers is the ABT, and then under the city name, that's the population of the latest census.
Gotcha.
Great information, thank you.
And the ADT is in the east-west direction.
So in as much as we're talking about a strategic plan, and if I'm understanding right, this is something that's a long-range plan that was started some years back, right? How do we incorporate into the process, that things may change along the way?
Yeah, so as part of the environmental process, there's traffic trends that have to be studied, there's different routes that have to be studied as well. So we don't have to, for these long-term projects, we don't have to prioritize them, we can leave them without a priority. And then as we advance in the environmental process and we get additional data for the project, then we can, as we know, we update the plan every 2 years. So in the upcoming 2 years, we can go back and revisit and then reprioritize these projects as we have more information.
Chairman, the short answer is that's why we update every 2 years.
Well, and that's what we over here, we're updating, you have updated information. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
But is it the goal of the RMA to be under construction of the 365 and now look at our projects in 0 to 4 years and have a subcommittee or a subcommittee on the committee here to start exploratory on funding some of these projects? I mean, is that the idea or not?
We could, I mean, the chairman has the authority to appoint ad hoc committees. And so he could,
Is that how it's been done in the past?
yes, sir. So we've had 3 committees in the past. Historically, we've had a finance committee, which looks at, financial issues. We've had a planning committee. And then I forgot the name of the third committee of the chairman, but any one of those committees could be appointed and 3 members, and then they could take a deeper dive to the data.
Thank you.
Then I believe we have one last line, which is the priority. As we have now, we have section 4, which is the last part of 365 and section A as well, to connect to I2. After that, we have section F on the east side, and then section E and C. As I discussed, we don't have to assign a priority to those 2 last projects. We can leave it without a priority and then update it in 2 years as the trend moves and we get more information.
What I like about what you have now is you're going from the least expensive to the most expensive.
Is that today's cost or future cost?
That's today's.
Cost, that's what was.
I would have loved to say future costs, but it's today's cost.
Yeah, if we did the future cost, it would sticker shock.
How much dollars?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then that's all I have. If you guys have any additional questions, I can entertain with.
Thank you.
I'd like to just say thank you to Ruben. He did come out and do a
Ruben, I would ask,
outreach for us. We appreciate you. We appreciate you coming out and talking to the groups that you come out and talk to. Fantastic hires. We love someone you didn't tell hiring.
thank you.
Thank you.
You can get a handout, will you just run through it or someone else is gonna run through it? That's very clear.
Well, that we can go through it in executive session because it's things that are not something that we can,
Perfect.
put a sticker to it. But it's to give you guys an idea of the process that environmental clearance takes.
Well, I think you can go through it with, yeah, you can go through it, but we get the. Yeah, that's just a proposed, so we haven't adopted it or anything, so
Yeah, so this is our pilot schedule in case we, if you see AEA, that's an environmental assessment, and that gives you, a FONSI, a finding of non significant impact for a project. This is for taking into consideration our two projects that we think we may be able to. As you can see there, the blue part, you get fast planning, the preliminary engineering, that takes us about a year and a half. After that, what you see in green, environmental pre-scoping, agency scoping, NOI, public scoping, alternative screening and evaluation of the routes, data collection, field investigations and surveys, schematic development, which the different alternatives for the routes, the public meeting to discuss these alternatives with the public. After that, we go do technical studies and develop the draft EA. The agency reviews, which in this case it's TEXOT and MHWA. Then we develop the final schematic. We have that public meeting for that final schematic and the environmental assessment. And then we get final EA and a fund fee for the project. So on this pilot schedule for the EA, we are looking at 60 months for the environmental clearance, 24 months for the final project development, and 36 months for construction. And that's taking into consideration our two projects, which are not segment 4, but segment A and segment F. And then after that, it's just a bar chart or a Gantt chart with the tasks. Some of those tasks that you see on the list overlap, so you'll probably see a lot of dates, but they overlap. So in the end, you'll see the time frame being the 60, 24, and 36 for each of them. And then after that, we have a pilot schedule for the EIS, which gets you a record of decision. As we can see here, the advanced planning and the preliminary engineering is also a year and a half. All the environmental tasks would take us about 80 months, with the final project development taking us about 30 months, and then construction about 4 years or 48 months. I put some milestones there as well for you guys to take a look at. And then again, the Gantt chart as well for you guys to take a look at and see the tasks that need to be completed for each of the projects.
All those tasks have to be completed to bring a project to fruition from when it's adopted, that we're gonna do this project to the day it opens. Everything and there has to be complete.
And then obviously what you see here in green, the environmental, there's one that says that data collection, field investigations and surveys. That's a huge list that I condensed into one line, but if you want additional information, I can provide you with that long list of requirements and studies that need to be done.
I think this is good. Thank you, Ruben. I think it helps clarify, right? When we say 5 years for environmental clearance, why, right? That's why.
Chairman, directors, next item on your workshop agenda is review of the 2024 annual report for submission to the Texas Department of Transportation. So in your packet, is a report, and we're required to submit this annually to the Texas Department of Transportation. And so you kind of think of it this way: the strategic plan is what we plan to do, and the annual report is what we got done. So the strategic plan is what we're going to do for the next 2 years, and the annual report shows what we actually got done last year. So I won't go through the entire report, but basically this details, we've been in construction for the last year with 365 tollways. So this will allow the construction activities, but it'll also detail the environmental clearance process for the International Bridge Corridor project and the efforts to transfer that project over to TxDOT so they can complete final plans, specifications, and estimates, and then eventually take the project to construction. And that's the summary of the annual report. But basically, it shows what our activities were for the last 12 months. The strategic plan shows what we plan to do for the next 2 months. Questions?
Yeah, I have questions. So this is our report, as required, and it's going to TxDOT, but how do we get the regional stakeholders up to speed with what's happening? Is there a formalized way of doing that? How do the local communities know this is the plan, this is what we, and how are we getting that word out?
So that word out right now, we've hired Ruben and he started to make the rounds, with all the elected officials. That's what you were talking about. We started to make
Been doing that, yes, sir.
making the rounds with the trade associations, et cetera. But in the upcoming budget, if you recall, we budgeted an item for outreach. So that we can step up our efforts to do more public outreach, and that's get out. This is what we're gonna do is say, this is what we've gotten done, and this is what we're trying to do. And that's what the outreach portion of it is for.
There's also a channel through the MPO. We meet monthly through the MPO and all the local leaders are there and they partake in those meetings. Everybody shares in budgets and costs and projects and all of that good stuff.
Very good. Yeah, I was looking forward to going to the first one of those, but I think they canceled November's, but it'll be Sunday. Yeah. Good.
Chairman Gertz, that's all the items we have for you in workshop.
Thanks. That's just a workshop, so we adjourn our workshop, and I guess if we move on to the next order on the agenda, we'll call to order our regularly scheduled meeting and establish a forum.
Chairman, you have a full board, so you're on full board.
Good to see everybody. That's great. And first item that we have, very importantly, we've got a proclamation.
Yes, sir. We have a proclamation for the outgoing chairman, which is David Deanda Jr. He was chairman from May of 2016 to September of 2024. So he served 8 years as a chairman of the authority. So we prepared a proclamation that I'd like to read. Whereas, as David Deanda Jr. was appointed by Governor Greg Abbott to serve as the chair of the Hidalgo County Regional Mobility Authority in May of 2016. And whereas for over 8 years, Chairman Deanda has faithfully led the authority through the financing of the 365 tollway, the planning of the International Bridge Trade Corridor, and the partnership with the Cameron County Regional Mobility Authority for the development of FM 1925. And whereas Chairman Deanda's loyalty to South Texas began with his birth in Kingsville, Texas, and has continued through his education and his 31-year career in banking. And whereas Chairman Deanda is the president of Lone Star National Bank, one of the largest independent banks in Texas, with more than $3 billion in total assets, 700 employees, and 36 full-service banking centers across the Rio Grande Valley and San Antonio. And whereas Chairman Deanda's commitment to banking extends to his service on the Minority Depository Institutions Advisory Council and the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas Community Depository Institution Advisory Council. And whereas, because he views the Valley as a metroplex for healthcare and economic growth for the state of Texas, Chairman Deanda dedicates his time in developing the infrastructure to support these economic engines. And whereas the Valley has greatly benefited from Chairman Deanda's leadership and commitment to education, healthcare, and economic development. And whereas Chairman Deanda has served on the DHR Health Board of Managers, the Valley Alliance for Mentors for Opportunity and Scholarships Board of Directors, the Texas A&M Kingsville Foundation Board of Trustees, Bauer College of Business for the University of Houston Board of Trustees, the Hidalgo County Metropolitan Planning Organization, amongst others. And whereas the governor has recognized Chairman Deanda's efforts to promote economic growth and job creation strategies for the Rio Grande Valley, as well as the state, by appointing the chairman to the Texas Economic Development Corporation Board of Trustees in 2022 and as vice chairman in 2024. And whereas Chairman Deanda, who has proclaimed that contributing to the community is both a responsibility and a privilege, and leads with faith and integrity, has honored the state of Texas and Hidalgo County with his service as chairman of the authority. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Hidalgo County Regional Mobility Authority Board of Directors, hereby extend our heartfelt congratulations, gratitude to David Deanda Jr. and express our appreciation of his service and dedication to Hidalgo County Regional Mobility Authority and to the citizens of Hidalgo County, passed and approved this 19th day of November 2020. Very good. Yeah, so I couldn't make it to, here for his proclamation, but the staff will make sure he gets it.
Yeah, and I'm also interested if we could set it up. I'd love an opportunity to give that to him.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comment.
We have no other function.
Okay, there are no public comments. Let's move to reports.
Yes, sir. Item one A is report on program manager, management activities for the 365 tollway. Being on file will give a brief report, and then it'll be followed by a report on construction activity for the 365 tollway by item on the.
Members of the board, I'll provide a summary of the overweight permit, activity. And then a briefing on the strategic plan as we discussed previously in the workshop. So here's the list of the overweight, oversized, corridor segments. As we know, the latest update was adding Lufen Road, to this list. So now we have 16 roads. Next, we'll see a map of the overweight, oversized, corridor network that we administer for TxDOT. And you can see the ports of entry that it services: Progreso, Dona, Rio Bravo, Reynosa, and then Anzaldua's port of entry. Hidalgo, Reynosa, it doesn't have commercial traffic. So for the month of September, the total permits issued were 5,153 for a total amount collected of $1,054,720. Of that, $24,120 were convenience fees, and total permit fees were $1,030,600. From that, $863,900 went to TxDOT. $12,110 went to the local off-system roads, and then $139,131 came to the RMA. Next, we'll have so this is the latest 3-year monthly comparison. As we can see, for October, on the previous years, we were around 3,300 permits. So we have a big increase of almost 2,000 permits. From previous month, we were able to get a little bit higher. So we expect to see this trend as well as the previous 2023 year, increasing on November and December as well. Now for the yearly overweight report from January 1st of this year to September 30th of this year, we had a total of 62,741 permits for a total amount collected of $12,821,878. Of that, $273,678 were convenience fees, and the total permit fees were $12,548,200, of which $1,694,007 came to the RMA. $10,647,694 went to TxDOT, and 18,276 were going to the local off system. So this is the accumulated overweight report for since we started issuing permits on January 1st of 2014 to August 31st or September 31st, September 30th, sorry, of 2024. The total permits issued were 377,449 for a total amount collected of $67,033,824. Of those 67 million, 8.7 million have come to the RMA. Then back again to the strategic plan updates. As we know, we had a workshop on October 22nd. Then we have the time of refinement to 11/19/2024, which is today. We had the second workshop, and we'll implement any input that you guys have on that strategic plan, and we'll be back for adoption of December of this year with your recommendation. And
And what do you guys have as recommendations so far?
I'm sorry,
What recommendations do you have from the board so far? For the strategic plan, do we write these down in notes or anything? Did we have some strategic? Did we get some?
We haven't received, I haven't heard anything different, than the Bible post.
I would like to at least make the recommendation on the strategic plan, if we can just put in that funding mechanism, at least add that, so we can see.
And just to add, we can always come back and give you a midterm update. We don't have to wait for 2 years.
Moving on to report on B. Report on construction activity for 365 Foley project.
Good evening, Chairman and the board. We are here to provide, my name is Ramon Navarro, I'm the Chief Construction Engineer for the Hidalgo County Regional Mobility Authority. Here to provide you with a brief overview of the three concurrent construction projects we have bringing to fruition at this time. Of course, these are all affiliated with the 12.5 mile section of the 365 toll project, which takes us from the port of Anzalduas east to the port of Pharr. Okay, this is a project that we've coordinated with partners throughout the city of McAllen, city of Mission, the Hidalgo County irrigation districts, numerous entities are all in partnership, precise and mainly focused with TxDOT, of course, big brother. The first of the three projects is what we call the wetland mitigation project. This is our environmental justice project in which we have to return and give back when we impact right of way, when we impact the nature or the natural surroundings. We have to be able to sustain and give back to the environment. In an effort to do that, we created a wetland mitigation project. This is constructing a man-made wetland of approximately 23 acres. This is 1.2 miles south of Granjeno, right on the border's edge. This is the actual Rio Grande River here. And we're out in the boonies, creating a wetland between the two blue duck areas. These are the U.S. Fish and Wildlife locations that Mr. Rodriguez was referencing earlier. And around us is Killam Development, who is a very cooperative partner in development. Also, a lot of that is surrounding farmland, etc. But they're looking into, of course, the ultimately developing the area once 365 comes to fruition. Along with that project, we awarded that project to MITRES. They are a natural resources conservatory that constructs these nationwide. They have 180 days to construct this project. Liquidated damages are $1,000 a day if they do not finish it in time. Currently, the contract is approximately $5,850,000. The board awarded this project with contingency that we would get a reduction in the earthwork due to the fact that some of the materials were found on the properties that we currently own. We are negotiating that. Currently, we are approximately $1.1 million in savings. And we're currently excavating, as I can show you here. We're excavating the actual site. The clay layer, of course, we went on to test it before we went to construction. The clay layers that we found with the core testing are a little deeper. They're asking for a little additional money for the excavation since we're hitting them up for $1 million on the embankment. And we hope to come before the board probably next month or into the next year with final reconciliation costs of the project. But there is the $1 million savings that we have committed to or gotten in the artwork. That
Completely clear, started from scratch.
Yes, sir.
I thought you were gonna be able to use something that was there, but no.
No, this is all going out. We have initiated the well point. This, of course, is further south. The river is probably around 500 feet away from here. We have run into a couple of glitches with AEP Commercial. They went out, looked at the site and realized what we were building and said they'd like to provide new power poles, new transformers, just all the commercial aspect of AEP. And probably we're waiting for a 6 to 8 week delay, but then the timing of the schedule, we're asking the contractor to provide a temporary generator so that we can assure that the well points and everything is running correctly. And that may be a small incurred cost for an additional change order, but nothing that's going to break the bank or cost us $2 million in the savings that we're coming to realize.
Can you give us like a 30-second version of what you mean by what you're creating there?
We're creating a natural native forest out there that's going to be protected from development, and it will remain in place for the next 20 to 30 years. We're giving back. Actually, it's perpetual. It is perpetual.
How deep is it?
Sir,
How deep is it?
okay, this is a berm going back. This is at ground level. There's going to be berms and an actual berm surrounding this area, sort of like the levee. Okay, and there's going to be an embankment, probably anywhere from 7 to 12 feet high. Okay, and you're going to have this garden in the middle of it that's consistently wet, and the native plants will be self-supportive, and we'll be able to have eventually whatever Valley Land Fund, our constituents that's going to be taking care of it, decides to do with it, whether it's going to be site visits or whatever we may have later in the future. But ultimately, our goal is to give back to the nature, give back the natural resources.
We back interested in all that. I'm getting technical here on what exactly wetland means for us. Does that mean that you're saying it's constantly wet? Does the well that you dug, that how deep is the well?
The well that we've dug is approximately 450 feet in depth, sir. However, we're hoping Mother Nature will provide rain, and the soils and the embankments that we're placing will be able to entrap this moisture. This is why we're paying so much, because the experts have developed a plan to layer the different stratas of the soil to maintain the moisture, maintain humidity, etc. The plants that have been selected to be placed into this wetland have been choice optimum for the area. Their roots, etc., have been able to be sustainable, and we're looking forward to having that self-supported, like I said, and it's just a way of giving back nature. Why we're spending $5 million on doing that? That's the key question, but it's the Army Corps of Engineers and the Federal Highways requirements. That's what we're abiding by.
The short answer, Director, is that
30 seconds. I think
this land is subject to flooding because it's right in the river. So whenever the river's high, it floods, and that's why it's called a wetland.
yes, I understand subject.
Subject to flooding. And so anything that we plant there is what grows in a floodplain, basically.
And if we don't get floods, if we don't get rain, we'll be utilizing the well as the water source to provide that wetness.
There's a lot of tablers that coming from the river.
From the water table.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Going on to the second project, this is the toll collection system installation and integration project. This is what's going to be collecting. I know when you mentioned about the tags and how we have the different options. This is the equipment, the hardware, the technology to be able to read electronically and capture all of the vehicles and the type of vehicles, the weights, etc. when they pass through it. This project has been awarded to CSEC Construction. Okay, they are the prime on this contract for the toll integration. This is a $14.6 million project. We're currently at about 14% production on this. This, of course, is directly affiliated with the production of the heavy highway project. As we get roadway and the off-ramps, on-ramps built and constructed, their infrastructure comes up at the same time. There's no use in putting it in and having the contractor run over it and break it, etc. So the timeliness and the coordination is imperative that we schedule and we program those and collaborate with the scheduling of the construction project. Fortunately, as I mentioned, CSEC is the prime on the toll integration project, and they are also a sub to the heavy highway project in raising the gantries, raising all the infrastructure required for the placement of these cameras and the equipment, et cetera, and the programming. So that is directly affiliated with the 365 project. The 365 toll heavy highway project is, of course, the meat and potatoes of the toll collection system. This is the actual highway, the bridges, the drainage, the levee systems that we are constructing and bringing to fruition. We awarded this contract and started claiming time on March 17th, 2022. Okay, there was 1,264 calendar days awarded to this project. That means we work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, for the exception of the 4 holidays that you see. And regardless of whether it rains, it snows, it sleets, whatever it is, there's a day charge filed as far as production is concerned. This project has a $16,500 a day liquidated damage, which means if they're late in delivery, we charge them $16,500 a day, or approximately $250,000 a month, as calculated if there are delays on the project. The total award of the contract was $295,932,420. We implemented, this is when things are going to start getting fuzzy, and I'll be willing to entertain questions after the fact. But we entertained what are called the value engineering change proposals on this project. And the way to implement amendments and changes in the contract are what we call change orders. Okay, these are budgetary amendments to the contract, whether it's in our favor or to the contractor's favor. To date, we have 13 change orders. Okay, the first 5 are all relative to the value engineering change proposals, which were cost savings to the project, and with some crafty contract language that's provided by our legal team. By our legal team, we locked in the price and the date of submittal or substantial completion. And we have since then been dueling it out with the contractor on the overall production and costs, etc. If you look deeply into the report that we provided to TxDOT, excuse me, you'll see that the project is currently, in accordance to the contract, for 231 days behind schedule. Okay, if you look at what we analyze, I approximate more of a 90-day delay on it. Okay, they're bringing in additional concrete resources, additional employees, etc. They're telling us that by March, this delta should be depleted. That's a $10 to $12 million estimate for these next 6 months to be able to catch up on the schedule.
Did you just say?
That in order for them to make up that delta of time,
Right.
we need to have $10 to $12 million estimates for the next 4 months to 5 months. And as we know, and you'll see, they've been producing no more than $3 to $4 million a month. So the magic wand, that means that this in reality cannot be achieved to bring that whole delta, the entire delta down by March. I see it more by maybe June or July. We've got maybe 70 to 85% of the infrastructure for the substructure to the ground, which means all of the columns, the foundations for the bridges, etc., are all in place at this time. We're aggressively hitting up Thomas and I Road. We're going to have a closure next month of that bridge intersection. That's where we're putting the traffic circle at I Road and Thomas and building the span over that complete intersection. All of that is to be captured within a 3-month period. They intend to have that done by June or July. Okay. And of course, our ultimate deadline is September of 21st of next year. So what that means is we're going to be working diligently 24 hours around the clock, trying to meet these deadlines. We got a commitment. We have a commitment from the contractor. They are committed by contract, obligated to meet this deadline. And they look and appear to be committed to providing the services and meeting this requirement. You ask me, like I said, I'm optimistic, maybe 90 days off, not the 231 days. But time will tell.
You do understand that we did ask you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the liquidated damages are $495,000 a month. It's about $500,000 a month that they'll be in liquidated damages.
Month.
How about?
So those 90 days, there is about $1.5 million in liquidated damages.
So that's a big carrot, and we haven't received any claims from the contractor yet.
The Ramon gets claims every day from them, and
I'll say big as that.
they submit claims on a daily basis.
That's our job to filter them, sir. And, so ultimately, we've issued 31 payouts at a total of $140,898,045.98, bringing us to a total of 53.2% completion. And here left is a brief pictorial tour of the project. This is at the west end of the project. This is the Anzalduas connector that we put in place. This is the actual port of Anzalduas. And you can see we've got the proposed eastbound frontage road. This will be the eastbound main lanes. We're currently constructing the main lane for the westbound main lane. And you'll see the bond breaker for the westbound frontage roads. This is a view from the from Sherry Road. Okay, this is 494. This is approximately 2.5 miles from the Anzalduas port. You can see we've got a lot of the continuously reinforced concrete paving in place already. But we still need the frontage roads, and on the main lanes, there's various sections that need to be completed. This is a view looking west over the 23rd Street Bridge. This is the floodway bridge. This is 3/4 mile bridge. This is the actual floodway right behind McAllen's Economic Development Corporation. And the rest of the project links all the way back. This is very fine, but you can see where the other refineries, the other bridge and connection points are. We've got South Benson, and all along these points, we do have gantry points that we would be putting up gantries to be able to collect and process and follow the traffic that's going through when they enter and when they exit, etc. And that's part of incorporating the toll integration project. This is halfway through the project. This is McCall. This is looking again west. You can see that we have laid bond breaker. This is the asphalt paving that goes down before the concrete paving section. It serves as a friction base course and provides sustainability to the actual concrete paving. This in the background that you see here is the Pharr San Juan main canal. We've got a proposed bridge going over and linking going over the canal and linking the two roadways. This is the contingency of that we yet to challenge by the irrigation district number 2, but we're still in formalities of capturing that, and we'll come back to you when we're ready to go forth with the bridge and the details on that. This is looking at Thomas and I Road. This is the intersection we will be completely shutting down next month. These are some of the archaeological sites on the project. We had 7 archaeological sites. This was environmental research that was conducted, and below the surface, they found numerous clay balls and fire pits and stuff that cavemen used back in the day, or Indians, etc., when they were along the river's edge. We're preserving these in place. This is the first time this concept has been utilized. I think the first and last time this concept is going to be utilized. But we're responsible for putting a protective layer over these locations and placing 5 feet of embankment prior to constructing our roadway. This is the last of those 7 sites that we're currently working on. All of this roadway, all of this material needs to be hand worked, and all of these locations are inspected by a monitor to make sure that we don't find anything or there's nothing upheaved or disturbed, etc. So that's been a very tedious process, but like I said, this is the last of the 7 locations that we will be constructing. Here are some pictures of the bypass that we're installing for our partners at Irrigation District Number 2. This is under Jackson Road. We've got 2 polyethylene 36-inch lines we're currently boring. We've been able to push one bore through, the other one we're encountering an obstruction of some sort. And we'll have to delay the closure on this area for an additional week. I have not been notified. They made the last attempt today to try and get this through. I have not been notified or seen anything that they were successful. So anticipate a change in time and the contract amendment for possibly or a proposal of some sort that we'll be entertaining for that. And this is one of the irrigation district's crossings that we're putting underground for them to be able to build a roadway over it. This is a lot of the infrastructure that we're putting in place where they had open ditches, et cetera. This is the existing ditch. We've offset it and we're going to put this underground and be able to go over it with our roadway in a clear manner. This is looking at the south end of the east end of the project, looking south. This is standing at Canal Bridge or Las Milpas Road. We've got the overpass at Highline. This is the military highway where we did segment 3 or section 3 that's been completed. This is the BSIF connector, and the port of the Pharr port of entry is all back here. This concludes my report, and I entertain any questions or concerns at this time.
Yeah, I've got a couple, I guess, real quick. The 53.02%, the cumulative, I guess, payout, does that necessarily match up with the project being at 53%?
No, sir. That includes material on hand. MOH is what we call material on hand. It's sort of like a credit card that we provide the contractor. We provide them the ability to go out and purchase materials and have them on standby. Exclusive of the labor, we provide him that monetary value, and then we credit it to him when he brings it into the actual project. So all in all, you could deplete that 53% by about approximately 4%. If you look at the bottom of the actual payout, to date, we've credited them or provided them $38.5 million. We've recovered $15 million, and 23 of that value still remains on my credit card or on credit before they put it into the ground. So in all, what you're saying is monetarily straight line. If we look at this as a straight line, yes, the cost, what's in production is the 53%. But there are certain particular items that have more value than others, like the concrete paving will have a bigger value on a per mile basis on the way they bid and they structured their proposal. Okay, so some of these items, like the bridges, for example, they could have those at 30 million, and our estimate was 20. So when they finish that bridge, that's going to kick up the estimate to 4 to 5% or 6% in regards to paving that's still missing, that they only get $900 a linear foot or whatever for it. So one for one, the monetary values don't really make up the percentages, which may be why they're saying that they can make up this delta. But when we look at it dollar for dollar, it's $10 to $12 million of production that they need to do. And here you can see the monthly production that they've gotten. The only time they were ever over 10% was when we gave them the prep right of way, which is a kind of a non-laborious pay item, and that was approximately $20 million. So,
yeah. And I guess one of the things I'm chasing is there with their delay, whether it's 200 or whether it's 90, because is there anything that we do that contributes to that delay?
no, sir. Well, if you ask us, we do.
If you ask her, if you ask a contractor, he's definitely.
We delay them in everything they do, And if you ask us, we say, no, we're doing our job, making sure that the quality assurance, the quality control, the materials, the labor, the specifications are all being met, and we inspect them appropriately. Now they say, well, you're delaying me. Okay, so what do you want me to do? Get out of the way and let you do whatever you want to do? That's not our job. Our job is to assure the taxpayers of the state are getting the quality and the material, the sustainable project that they've been paying for. So,
Yeah, I guess what I'm after is, we don't want to get to the end of the project and then have some blow up or some issue.
correct.
And we're monitoring that along the way, I guess, and we'll be made aware if there's any
Yes, sir.
issue or but up to now, right now, we're okay.
We're fine. We monitor that on a daily basis at the construction office. Anything that goes above the level of my authority goes directly to Mr. Rodriguez. And we make the executive decision of whether we bring it before the board or we address it and try and squash it before it gets to you. But there is no major issues at this time that time impact is the only thing that's delaying them, but that's at their own schedule.
All right. Okay, good. What else on the report or any other questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, then I think that takes us down to item 2, consent agenda.
Also, Chairman, it's all matters listed in the consent agenda, considered to be routine by the governing body and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. However, if the discussion is desired, that item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Call to approve all of these. I just wanted to, I guess, technically, vote, but on the approval of minutes, I abstained from that. I wasn't part of that or here for the last ones, but otherwise, well, let's just call for the vote. So, I hear an approval. Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, vote aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Thank you. Then we'll move on to our regular agenda, item 3.
Yes, sir. Item, Chairman Gerges, item 3A, we ask that you take no action on this item. We'll bring it back at the next board meeting. Item 3B is resolution 2024-46. Consideration and approval of work authorization number 3 with B2Z Engineering for construction material testing services on the proposed wetland mitigation project for the 365 towing. I think someone described to you that we've got to go in and test the soils to make sure they're suitable quality. We're recommending a work authorization in the amount of $278,067.32. B2Z has a current approved work authorization for the amount of $1,946,662.66. The approval of this work authorization will take their approved work authorizations to $2,224,729.98. That recommends approval.
Any questions?
I've got a couple of questions from you. How do we select them over the other PMT firm that we have?
So typically, all the CMT firms that we have on contract have been a part of the designers of records team. And so as long as they don't have a conflict, so that's basically what's happened on this project. Terracon, B2Z, Bravo Kistner, they've all been involved in the design work. So we just make sure that the segment that they're testing in is not a segment they have a conflict of interest because they were a part of the designer of records team. And so in this particular case, B2Z does not have a conflict because they weren't a part of the designers.
Monetarily wise, sir, B2Z was selected for the levies. They had the smallest base as far as cost implications to the project. So the piece of the pie was a little smaller and they were selected to do the this CMT grant.
But they've been doing a good job on the other.
Excellent job.
Yeah, they've been doing a really good, B2Z has been doing, out of all firms, they're doing the best. And so we've gone through and audited, Celia audited their work and they have everything buttoned out.
And was this budgeted?
Yes. It's budgeted.
Any other questions? We need a motion for that, correct?
Yes, I'm moving.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And,
Item 3C is resolution 2024-47, consideration and approval of contract amendment number 2 with Vitas Engineering to increase the maximum payable amount for work authorization number 3. So this just takes their, increases their contract amount for the work authorization you just approved. So their contract amount from $1,946,662.66 to $2,224,729.98. Staff recommends approval.
do I hear a motion? Second motion and a second. All those in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, moving on then.
Chair, we real quick, I know we already went through, I think we already went through, the section 2, there was 2C. Did we already go through that?
Yes, sir.
I just want to make a quick comment on 2C, authorization of the beyond and so on and so forth. There's a note here on the right hand side says, has historically held excess idle cash in its non-interest bearing demand account at Plains Capital Bank. Any way we can make that interest bearing?
So typically what we move over to that, director, is we move it on a monthly basis to pay the bills.
Okay,
And that's it. And so the rest of the time it spends it in an interest bearing.
sounds good. Just want to make sure.
Yes, that's great. Good catch. All right, then we'll move on to item 4, which is Chairman's report. I asked Pilar to just favor y'all, and if we don't have it now, it's not a biggie. I'll make some comments now, but attended the Rioplex presentation. Wanted you to just make y'all aware of it. It's an initiative that the county judge and some of the business community led by Mr. Spammer, from Spammer, in how to better market our place, market ourselves. That's all the Rio Grande Valley and northern Mexico, and as we're going out there in the world and talking to folks, the idea that calling ourselves Rioplex, similar to Borderplex and similar to Metroplex, etc. It's an idea that I support and think it'd be good, and I just really wanted it to, for your information, I wanted to point that out. There are some questions, and I will follow up with that just as a local stakeholder and business person in the community on how does that work together with, the Valley Partnership, for example, things like that. But that was mainly an FYI. And then also under Chairman's report, I just thought it'd be okay to kind of give you a real quick sense of, I'm certainly happy to be here and appreciative to be here. It's going to take me a bit to get fully up to speed, but I thank all of y'all, staff, starting with you guys, that are slowly getting me there. My commitment is to be able to get up to speed, to understand, and to help our organization be at the forefront of what it is we're trying to do down here. Mobility Authority, and in a regional fashion, working together with the other stakeholders, whether it's all the communities, whether it's our county, TxDOT, great to see you here, the Regional Mobility Authority, and in a way that's gonna get the message out and let the community know what we're doing, and that we could all feel good about taking time out of our day and serving the public in a way that we can be proud of. And so I'm happy to join all of y'all. I'm glad to be here. I was contacted by the governor and said yes. That was late September. I think y'all might have heard, and I said, even had a meeting, and I said, I've got a plan. I'm out of the country. I did that. Great. You can start in November, and here we are. So I got back on the 15th, met with, I was due to get back on the 15th, but fortunately, I was able to move some things and I got back a bit early and I met with the staff early in the month. And kind of got a little bit of RMA 101. Thank you. There's a lot more needed and I'll be coming more for here and there and everywhere for that. I did made an effort to reach out to my fellow board members here, and I look forward on a one-on-one basis to communicate with everybody as time permits for all of you. I know everybody's busy, but I am looking forward to that. I did attend on the 13th by invitation of the county judge meeting in Mission. 19 folks related to some topics that I think we're going to take up here as well, but I wanted y'all to know and be aware that I was able to attend that. I think director was there as well. So I was able to do that. And of course, my phone has been ringing and they're not ordering Bonito. I am looking forward. Thank you, Ramon. We've got a boots on the ground tour set up that I'm looking forward to jump in the vehicle with you. That's scheduled tentatively for tomorrow, but we'll see how that goes.
Sure.
We can't lock it down. It'll be real soon after that. I asked staff and Yvonne, thank you. You've done a great job getting me the contact information for a lot of the other stakeholders in the community, and I'd like to get in front of each and every one of them, including yourself, Mr. Robbins, and our NPO folks, director, the new director over there, and the chair as well, and just looking forward to working with you lately. And I got the letter, and I'll have questions, and I'm glad that y'all are there as a resource. You're there, and so I'm getting up to speed, and just wanted y'all to know, and I appreciate the opportunity to sit here, and looking forward to put our best foot forward. So that's our chairman's report.
By the way, just a question, Mr. Chair, and in review of the brief discussion we have about outreach, you're a member of the Realplex? Or how is that? Sure. How's the Realplex membership? Is it by invite? Is it by agencies? Do we have a representative ourselves?
That's a good question, and I can tell you what I know. And then someone sticks a mic in front of you and says, "Hey, let me get your interview. What do you think?" And I told them what I think. I attended. I got a message that the meeting was going on. They have. Let's see if I can, from memory, speak intelligently about this. But the county judge, and this is as I understand it, county judge has a prosperity task force. And he's looking at ways to, how do we raise the prosperity in our community and the county and get our economic conditions better, and improve. And he's asked people to be on the prosperity task force. And I think I must have said yes because I'm invited to the meetings. And I think that's why I was invited to that particular meeting. There's members of the business community that have been invited. And so I was there. And you have the county judge and then members of the business community led by Joaquin Spammer, who has kind of taken something that, to be honest with you, for years, I think I mentioned earlier, I chaired president of the Pharr Chamber of Commerce, president of the Valley Partnership. We've all of us, right, have done things within the community to try to give back and try to help. I too have wondered many times, how can we organize ourselves better and get the power that we know we have here as a region, you know, and put our arms around it and speak, you know, to the world, literally, so that they know who we are. And credit to Mr. Spammer, he has put some of his own money right out of his pocket, I believe, and to kind of help and get together with a county judge, put together a slide presentation, which is what I asked staff to get to y'all. So we'll get that to you. On, hey, it's Rioplex, it's a region, it's an area, it includes northern Mexico, and it allows us to, you know, talk to the world in as one region, as one place. And so
That's fine, I just, in defense of our history.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't that easy to get here where we are today. We are standing on the backbones of a lot of people that came before us.
no,
This would have been impossible 20, 30 years ago. To go forward is very important,
Mhm,
and the timing is appropriate,
mhm.
but we can't be so critical. Why haven't we done this in the past? Because it was impossible. I can tell you that I lived there.
Yeah.
And I think the time is right. So we have to take this project, in essence, with what's going on today
Mhm.
and where the time is, economics, the politics, the social infrastructure, the physical infrastructure didn't exist
Mhm.
20, 30 years ago. So I think the timing is right. So when we speak publicly in relation to this issue and all the other local issues, it is important that we understand that timing is good, and we thank everybody for what they've done in the past and thank them for who we are today, and let's move forward.
Absolutely.
And that's all I'm saying, because I've heard that, oh, we should have done this, oh, we should have done that. Oh, it's a timing issue right now.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
no,
and I think we should be involved as an agency in something so vital, you know, just important.
Well, I wanted everyone to be informed and know about it. And, you know, I made a statement, Wednesday, when, Director Sines and I was over there with the county judge, and it had a lot coming at me kind of fast and furious, about, you know, the issue at hand at that moment. And all I could say to them is, yes, I've accepted, and I am looking forward to be a part of this board. And really, all I could tell them is what I, at this point, is what I believe. And Alvarez and myself were talking about it at the top of the meeting, and that is what I said to them, and it's great. I'm glad that I'm prompted and I get to say this here. I truly, genuinely believe that what we do together doesn't matter how messy or imperfect it may be. It's going to be better than the things we do perfectly separate. And that's I believe that to my core. And so, yeah, I don't think it does us any good to, I mean, I felt I'm somewhat responsible. We've all been there. We've been in these different Valley Partnership or chambers, or served as economic development president in McAllen as well at some point. Why hasn't this been, I'm not asking that question. I'm just saying, hey, let's all come together and unify and talk and move forward and take the power of what we know is around us, that's going to be beneficial to us, to our families, to our children, and for generations to come. I mean, I really do feel this, and y'all are here, y'all are with me. We're all doing it together. But I mean, I think we're in the greatest state in the union and in the greatest area in the state. And listening to the governor himself come down here and say not so long ago, we are perfectly positioned. It's up to us. Where is it that we want to go? And this effort was just, hey, just FYI, let y'all know. So that's what that was. And then the other comments under my chairman report were just, again, let you know what I've done thus far and how much I am looking forward to work with every one of y'all. Hopefully we can have our one-on-ones and then continue to come here and move forward. I am, and while I guess I've got the floor right now and I'm making those comments, I've already said it, but I'll say it out loud, is my inquisitiveness or my questions come a whole lot more from that sentiment or perspective about trying to get together. That was even the question earlier today, is trying to understand is like, okay, if we're building a strategic plan, when and how does TxDOT feed in? When and how does the MPO feed in? How are we listening to, I think people that might say they have an issue with what we're doing? Whether it be the judge himself or a mayor or anybody in our community, they're all doing what they do, but we're gonna be doing what we do. But I'm starting from the premise or the position that we're gonna do it in a way that that it's for the greater good and for all of us. And so, anyway, that's my report. And yeah, thanks for the comment and any
So
question.
all I'm saying is, this is not new. People have been working it for 20, 30 years to work as a region.
Yeah.
That we are, I'm actually at this point in time, is the only point that I'm making. Somebody said in public in front of a lot of people, well, I knew that all these little towns had to come together sooner or later. And no, we've been working at this for a long time. And where we are today is because there's been a lot of people that have been working on this from Brownsville to Mission for years and years. And there's been an incredible amount of growth. And it all goes to all of the people of this family.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. All right, any other questions under this item? No? Okay, then let's move on. Do we have any tabled items?
No, sir.
No tabled items. That brings us to item number 6, executive session.
Yes, Chairman and Directors, I recommend you entertain a motion to enter into executive session for item 6A, consultation with attorney on legal issues pertaining to the advanced project development of the 365 to 74, Section A West and Section C of the Hidalgo County Road System under Section 551-071 of the Texas Government Code.
Do I hear a motion? Second. I think got a motion and a second. All those in favor, vote aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. No, thank you all very much. That we're out of executive session, and do I hear a motion to reconvene? Motion and a second to reconvene our normal meeting. All those in favor, vote aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We carry on, and incidentally, there's no formal action, no action taken during the executive session. So now back in our regular meeting, staff, anything in particular?
Chairman, Director, we have no further business for your consideration.
No further. Well, I think it would be appropriate, and I certainly will. Again, thank you, staff, for hanging with us. Pete, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. You wonder how how do we take as much time as we did and kept y'all as long as we did and have no action to take. But progress is being made. We're very appreciative and we're looking forward, like you said earlier, for all of us to come together and work together. And we really don't take lightly the fact that you came and staff that y'all are here. So if there's no further action, anything else to come before the board?
Other than the fact that we're gonna go on the record motion. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it, and I know working together that, like I said, we got a lot to really, like you said, Director, a lot that we've come through, and we're at a really great time here in the Rio Grande Valley, and a lot to be proud of, and bright days are ahead, and we just know it. And there's some great things happening. We're gonna be pretty much already fully driving on our interchange out there, and
It doesn't month coming.
Can we go on the record? Can you go on the record, Mr. Chair, and ask him as to when exactly?
Well, it'll be December. I'm not gonna say what year, but.
Thanks, everyone. Do I hear a motion to?
So moved.
Second. Motion and second. All those in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you all very, very much.